Alright, this is going to be the Lexus seat pad swap. I'm going to take that seat pad there, that one, and I'm going to put it on this seat. And I'm going to take this seat pad and put it on the other seat pad. Just because this side here gets wore out, this bolster, and I don't want to replace it. This side never gets wore out. No one ever sits on it. No one ever slides on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the cushions off this one and put it on the other one. And you can see I already moved the seat. There's 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 14 millimeters. And then what you're going to do is you're going to remove the little screw there. Little screw there. There's a little screw on the back that holds this panel on as well, right there. Or that guy. And I'll update you after that. Farther than I should, I guess. I should have took a video prior to putting all this plastic and stuff on. But this is the seat put back together. All the wires and everything plug in just like they do on the other one. These wires all stay where they are. The plastic goes on just like it does on the other one. I put a zip tie here to zip tie this piece down because obviously they're not exactly the same. You have to slice a tiny little piece of your leather right here so you can push this little pin in. There's a plastic like a push pin like on all the doors and stuff in plastic, and then everything else just goes in pretty much. Clip it all back in like it unclips on the other one. Push all this back into the front. I'll clip all this in on the front, push these pins down, and then right here on this side, because this side is longer because it came from the other seat, what you have to do is, don't get squeamish. If you're squeamish about cutting your leather, you have to cut out about a chunk about this big right out of here to fit the control panel back in. You cut just a tiny piece out, and I was able to get all the screws back in. And then there's an actual hole on this seat. There's a hole where it was for the seat belt on the other side, and you just route the wiring for the lumbar support plug, which is this little button here. You route it through that hole and then plug it back in. So I pretty much finished up. There's only 2 screws left to put in, these back screws here, and I'm going to install the seat, and we'll take a look from there. Okay, so here it is, all installed. You can see this side is almost brand new now, and the worn out side from the passenger side is over there. Everything works like it's supposed to, all the switches, everything works like it's supposed to. I haven't checked the seat heater yet, but I'm assuming that it's gonna work just fine. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit better video. So this is the passenger side seat, but it's gonna be the same as the driver's seat was. So I've just put the cushion on. You'll see here's the switch housing, forward, backward, whatnot. Here's that little hole I was telling you about right here. So you're gonna route this plug through that hole. I can't do it one-handed, but you route this plug through that hole right there. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull all this cushion down and get it set to where it should be. Put all the plastic back on the, because you took it off, so you're gonna understand how it goes back on. It kind of just pops off of this metal. It's like a little railing. It just fits in there, and then these little tabs kind of squish up against it. Make sure you pull down on the bottom and get all this cushion down as far as you can so it wraps around the bar, otherwise it won't fit right. Make sure that you get all the wires out where they're supposed to be. Get all the wires out so they're not getting caught on stuff. And then as you plug stuff in, you wire things. Sorry, not a good cameraman. Plug things in as you go. You do this side. This side's the easy side because there's no plugs or nothing on it. But I found that these frames, they're the same on this side as the other side, so they can, I'm guessing Toyota did that so they could make it easy. See the same little hole on this side? So like I said, all you got to do is cut that little tiny piece of fabric out, and I'll come back and do that with you guys so you can see me do it. Alright, bye. So like I said, this is all pretty easy. It all just kind of clips in right back where it's supposed to go. little plastic pieces hook on here. This little push pin goes right back in the hole. Make sure you put your seatbelt back on and tighten it down. I don't know if there's a torque spec for the seatbelt. I mean, it's attached to the seat, so I just good and tight it. If I was able to take it off by hand, I'm sure it's not. You could probably go online and find the torque spec somewhere. I'm sure someone will do it. But I didn't torque mine, I just tightened it back down. Alright, I'll come back when I do the cutting on the other side. So here's another little thing. So right here where this piece is on the passenger side, I did this on the driver's side too. I poked a hole right here where my thumb's at, and then I zip tied it just to a hole somewhere that's not gonna interfere with anything, just to pull it down tight so it doesn't feel weird. Alright, so I took and drew the template for this side. Once you do the other side, I just took the same template that I had from the same cutout I had from the other side, and I just templated it. I came back a little bit, a couple stitches back so the stitching doesn't come off, and then a couple stitches from the plastic, and I'm just going to take my razor blade and cut up, and that's going to give enough room for this to mount up inside there, and you'll be able to get the screws back in, and then everything will go back in together like it should. Alright, so update. This seems to be a better idea. I just cut a hole. I didn't mess with the stitching so as not to ruin it from here. I don't know how this is going to last in the long run or whatever, but I mean, you're just trying to get, what, a couple 100,000 more miles out of your seats before you decide to finally redo this seat or whatever. If you're trying to save some money, this is just the quick little switcheroo to do that. So like I said, this is the only side that really requires any modification. So you cut that little hole, right? And then right inside there, you can get that screw back in. You put this screw back in right here. This one down below. Pop that little button in, and you can run that wiring through there. And I guess this wiring kind of gets caught on it, but shouldn't hurt anything. Okay, this is the passenger side again. So this side over here where you're putting this little shield on, like I said, there's that little pin right there. So I'm just going to cut a little hole in the leather and then push that pin through, stick the wiring in, screw that little piece on, and it's ready to go. Make sure you double check your seatbelt nut. It's good and tight. So this is the last little bit. You get all that stuff screwed on and everything put in place. You plug that back in. You slide this piece of plastic over it again. Make sure your buttons are where they're supposed to be and whatnot. Pop this stuff back in. Put in those two little screws. Put in the screws up top. Then you can put the seat back in. Okay, so screws installed there. Screws installed there. Got the two silver screws installed right there and right there. Then we're going to install the back screws, put the buttons back on, and we're done.